Well, for me, it was frightening on a couple of levels because I've never, in all the time that I've been coming to London, and
They thought it was just another dusty storage locker in Burbank, California. But when investigators broke the lock after 30 years, they uncovered a time capsule that would shake Hollywood to its core. Inside were letters revealing Sammy Davis Jr.'s true family secrets, tapes that could destroy reputations, and undeniable proof of a forbidden romance that nearly cost him his life. This wasn't just old memorabilia. It was the hidden truth of a man who defied every rule, dazzled every stage, and carried secrets no one dared to speak. Until now, what they found will change how you see him forever. Sammy Davis Jr. was born on December 8, 1925, in Harlem, New York City, into a world where show business was already in his blood. His father, Sammy Davis Sr., and his mother, Elvira Ella Sanchez, were both seasoned vaudeville performers who spent their lives on the road, chasing the next stage, the next audience. But Sammy's beginnings were marked by a quiet truth that the family worked hard to hide: his mother's Cuban heritage in a deeply prejudiced America. That kind of background could end a career before it even began. The entertainment industry, especially in the 1920s and 30s, was unforgiving to anyone who didn't fit its rigid image of marketable American talent. Even before he could walk, racism and secrecy were shaping his identity. By the time Sammy was just 2 years old, he was already stepping into the spotlight. His father and close family friend, Will Maston, formed the Wilmaston Trio, and Sammy became their youngest member. While most toddlers were playing with toys or learning their ABCs, Sammy's playground was a stage. His toys were tap shoes and microphones. The trio toured relentlessly, performing across the country in theaters, nightclubs, and vaudeville houses. Sammy learned early how to read an audience, how to adjust his timing for a laugh, how to hold the gaze of hundreds of people until the last note of a song faded. But life on the road was far from glamorous for a young child. There was no steady home, no neighborhood friends, no school teachers or recess bells. His education came from train rides between cities, from conversations with seasoned entertainers backstage, from quietly observing the way a crowd's mood could shift with a well-timed joke or a soulful note. And everywhere they traveled, the harsh reality of segregation was impossible to ignore. Whites-only signs on restaurants, hotels, and public spaces were constant reminders that no matter how talented he was, there were places Sammy was simply not welcome. Instead of crushing him, those experiences planted a fierce determination. Not only would he survive in show business, he would rise to the top of it. At the age of 7, Sammy made his big screen debut in the 1933 film Rufus Jones for President, starring alongside the legendary Ethel Waters. The satirical comedy imagined a young black boy as President of the United States, an almost unthinkable concept at the time, and Sammy's performance was captivating. His natural charisma and energy demanded attention. Even at such a young age, it was clear he wasn't just a novelty act. He had the raw presence of a star. The stage remained his classroom. He taught himself to play multiple instruments, picked up snippets of foreign languages, mastered impressions, and developed a versatility that would one day earn him the title Mr. Show Business. His mind absorbed everything, from the complex footwork of veteran dancers to the comedic timing of vaudeville jocksters. In 1943, with America deep in World War II, 18-year-old Sammy was drafted into the U.S. Army. Standing just 5 feet 6 and weighing about 120 pounds, he joined one of the first integrated units. Expecting a sense of unity in the fight for freedom, what he found instead was a new level of cruelty. The racism he encountered in the Army was relentless and often violent. His nose was broken 3 times in vicious beatings. In one particularly cruel incident, white soldiers painted his skin white as a joke. On other occasions, they tied him to a tree in freezing cold temperatures as a form of humiliation and intimidation. Sometimes, before forcing him to perform for troops, they scrawled racial slurs across his forehead. The abuse was so severe that it pushed him to the brink of despair. He considered ending his life, weighed down by the daily torment and the knowledge that the very institution he was serving had no interest in protecting him. But then came a turning point. He was transferred to the Army's entertainment unit. There, on a stage once again, Sammy rediscovered his weapon, his talent. Even the men who despised him couldn't resist applauding when he danced, sang, and performed with the magnetic energy that had carried him since childhood. That applause became a kind of armor, a reminder that he had something no amount of hate could take away. The war left scars, physical, emotional, and psychological, but it also solidified his resilience. It proved to Sammy Davis Jr. that no matter the obstacles, the stage would always be his refuge, his battlefield, and his greatest weapon. By 1951, Sammy was back home, ready to conquer the entertainment world. That March, at Ciro's nightclub on Sunset Boulevard, the Wilmaston Trio opened for Janice Page after the Academy Awards. The audience was a who's who of Hollywood: Humphrey Bogart, Lauren Bacall, Cary Grant, Marilyn Monroe, Judy Garland, and they were mesmerized. Television came calling. In 1952, ABC offered Sammy a $20,000 pilot, unheard of for a black entertainer. He was on his way until tragedy struck. On November 19, 1954, driving from Las Vegas to Los Angeles, another car swerved into Sammy's lane. The crash destroyed his left eye. 9 days in the hospital later, he returned to the stage with an eye patch, then a glass eye, joking he was a one-eyed Negro who's Jewish. That wasn't a punchline, it was truth. While recovering, Sammy studied Judaism, drawn to its history of survival. In 1960, he officially converted, declaring that being both black and Jewish made him stronger. On Broadway, he starred in Mr. Wonderful in 1956, then Golden Boy in 1964, where kissing a white co-star brought bomb threats. Off stage, he marched with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. in Selma. In film, he shined in Porgy and Bess, Sweet Charity, and Rat Pack hits like Ocean's 11. In 1957, Sammy met Kim Novak, one of Hollywood's top stars. They fell hard, but interracial love was dangerous. Only 4% of Americans approved, and the murder of Emmett Till was still fresh in memory. In January 1958, gossip columns claimed they were engaged. Columbia Pictures panicked. Mobsters tied to the studio kidnapped Sammy and gave him a choice: end it, or lose his remaining eye, or worse. Even mob boss Sam Giancana said he couldn't protect him. On January 10, 1958, Sammy entered a sham marriage with singer Lorraine White, reportedly paying her $25,000. The marriage ended in months, but the heartbreak never left him. In 1960, Sammy married Swedish actress May Britt. Interracial marriage was illegal in 31 states. They received bomb threats, and May lost her Hollywood contract. President John F. Kennedy's team even pulled Sammy's inauguration invitation. They raised 3 children, Tracy, Mark, and Jeff, but constant touring, affairs, and public harassment strained the marriage. In 1968, they divorced. From the day Frank Sinatra saw a teenage Sammy perform in 1941, he backed him, getting him gigs, paying his hospital bills, refusing to work at segregated venues. Their friendship was immortalized in Ocean's 11, The Rat Pack's swaggering symbol of style and unity. Sammy's range was unmatched: singing, dancing, impressions, comedy, multiple instruments. In 1972, the Candy Man hit No. 1, selling over 2 million copies, though Sammy initially hated it. His anthem "I've Gotta Be Me" became a declaration of defiance. In 1987, he reunited with Frank Sinatra and Dean Martin for a farewell tour. Martin dropped out, replaced by Liza Minnelli. By 1989, Sammy's voice began to fail. Doctors diagnosed throat cancer from decades of smoking, offered surgery that would save his life but end his singing. Sammy chose radiation. He couldn't imagine life without his voice. But by early 1990, the cancer returned. His weight dropped to 60 pounds on May 16, 1990. Sammy Davis Jr. died at 64, despite earning $50 million in his career. His estate was worth just $4 million, all claimed by the IRS. His widow Altavice Davis inherited his debts. lost their mansion, and saw his possessions auctioned for $439,000. But months later came the twist. A storage unit in Burbank, rented under a fake name, held Sammy's instruments, clothes, documents, and rare photos. It had been secretly rented by someone close to Altavise, hoping to keep the treasures from IRS seizure. In the end, even those were confiscated. Sammy Davis Jr. wasn't just a performer. He was a barrier breaker, a survivor, and a man who lived unapologetically in a world that often tried to put him in a box. His voice, his moves, and his courage still inspire. Like, share, and subscribe for more videos. Thanks for watching.